It's getting tougher. The Castaways have chosen Daisy the cow over a crate of food. And now, if they want anything else decent, they're going to have to trade what they catch or they make. This is Castaway Exposed. Welcome. My name is Richard Bacon and this is Castaway Exposed, the show that braves all weathers to bring you news from the island, from our studio in North London's drug-pusher-ridden Camden. Coming up tonight, Jason is back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to him in this studio. I'm also going to be joined by Hannah Perry from Heat magazine. She will cast a critical eye over some of the castaways, and comedian Rob Heaney is here as well to talk about the show. I'm also joined, as ever, by the friends and family of the Castaways. Hello! Hello! Evening to you all. And good news, he was away last week, but Mykel Hawke is back. Hey, look, all that coming up here on Castaway Exposed. So, you saw what happened a moment ago. It's time now to go live to the island and join Danny Wallace. Danny, my finger is in my ear. Can you hear me?
I certainly can. How are you?
Danny Wallace, everyone. Let's now then talk about what just happened. Can you explain in more detail, Danny, what the hell's going on?
Well, look, food has essentially run out. The cow was a welcome addition to the camp with its abundance of milk, or galleons of milk, as Ken calls them. And obviously that's a great sense of fat and of protein, of calcium, of vitamins A and D, which are my favourite vitamins. And I basically said to them, you can either have the cow or we can give you a week's worth of fancy supplies. This is what they would have had. Tins of chickpeas. This chick wouldn't be... He's not supposed to be that. I have had words about that. They would have had flour, oats, lentils, carrots, everything like that. So they've decided to go for the long-term option, which is milk forever, and avoid the feast that they could have had this week.
Did that chick do that in rehearsal? Or is it just ad-libbing? Because it's really working well.
I've never seen this chick before.
Danny, can I ask your personal opinion? Was it a wise decision to stick with the cow?
I think it was a wise decision. I mean, the cow has been a bit of trouble. It's been eating all their vegetables, which isn't a good thing, really. So they've really been running quite low, but they're getting very good with the whole milking thing. They've also started to produce their own butter, which is fantastic, thanks to Gemma. So hopefully I think that they will get ever closer to a wine and cheese evening.
OK, thank you. How nice for them. I'm not really listening to what you're saying. I'm just obsessed with the chick. It seems to be cleaning itself now.
OK.
Now, Danny, I believe that you were on the set of Castaway the last 24 hours, the Monday to Thursday BBC Three show. Can you just give us a quick tour of your set?
All right, yeah. Watch this. Hello. Take you with me. Come down here. This is where I'm going to be. You're so soft. This is my little area where I'm going to be hanging out for a while. Mainly because the weather here has gone a bit crazy. We had the worst storm in 150 years of New Zealand weather. So I've had to build myself little walls. I've got a vegetable there that I can eat or look at, depending on my mood. I've got things that I can swing. Essentially, this is a lovely place for me to hang out. There's some fish here. The Castaways have not caught those. I would claim I caught them, but I'm rubbish.
Oh. Now, the weather, in all seriousness, has been really problematic. It's been hellish, hasn't it?
It's been horrible, yeah. It's been really horrible. It was essentially, we caught the tail end of Cyclone Becky. So this entire, it was just sheets of rain for more than 24 hours, completely relentless. I mean, I went home and I just sat in a house with no power, but at least I had a roof, a proper roof. The Castaways, I felt very sorry for them. They were getting very battered indeed.
All right, Danny, thank you very much indeed. And we all thoroughly enjoyed the tour of your setup there and meeting that little chick, which has now got camera shy and has disappeared behind what appears to be a bottle of wine. Oh, it's back. Oh. All right, Danny, thank you.
No, Richard, thank you.
Now, last week, Jason became the first castaway to be voted off the island. He's back from the delights of New Zealand to our little studio here, and he's about to be reunited with his family. Please welcome Jason.
All right, Jason. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a seat. Have a seat there. Well, so much to talk to you about, Jason. So it seems, although I realise it's possible to fly back from New Zealand in that time, it seems almost strange that a week ago I was watching you on the show and now you're sitting here opposite me. And there's a bit of business we need to clear up before we talk about your castaway experience. Do you remember that you recorded a message for your girlfriend, Bryony?
Yes, I do. I do remember that.
And you've not spoken to Bryony since you left Castaway?
No. I wouldn't be surprised if she's not here.
No phone calls?
No, nothing.
You don't know if she's here tonight or not? No one's told you anything?
No one's told me nothing, no.
All right, here is your message. Bryony was sitting where you are last week, and you can see how she responded.
Hello, sweetheart. Since I've been here, I've thought seriously about us and what we have. You know, we found each other, and I do believe that you are the best thing that's happened to me, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. So, until we're together again, think about it. Not too hard, but I'm 150 million% sure this is what I want. Bryony, will you marry me?
Woo! I love you!
But any initial thoughts?
Ooh. Well, yes.
That's the hard part over and done. I thought I might be leaving early.
Did you?
I will be leaving very early. Actually,
you got a lot to do. Were you genuinely worried she might say no, or were you certain she would say yes?
We touched on the subject very lightly in the past, but we never really discussed it. But you know, I thought there'd be a yes there somewhere.
Okay.
But,
I mean, I think it's obviously that's a strange disembodied way in which to propose to somebody, and I think it would be only right and proper if you were to propose in person. So here tonight, not only Bryony, your mum Dina, and your son Kane. Please welcome them to the show. All right, have a seat, Dina. Have a seat. Here we go. Hello, Kane. I'm Richard. Hello. Hello. Nice to meet you. Have a seat. Have a seat between Bryony and Dina there. I think, Jason, why don't you do it properly?
I haven't got a ring. I haven't got a ring.
Oh, no.
Sweetie, darling, will you marry me?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Cheers.
Oh, Bryony, we're a little too last week, but congratulations. All right. That's lovely, thank you. And I think that's the right thing to do. What's the first thing? First, what's your reaction, Bryony? You feeling okay?
Yeah, my heart's going 10 to the dozen, but yeah, I'm all right.
What's the first
I
thing?
can't stop grinning, sorry.
Oh, good. That's lovely. What's the first thing that you two will do now?
I
You
don't
two?
think you should ask that.
I mean, in front of Kane. What was I thinking?
Exactly.
Kane, how you feeling? You excited about this news?
Yeah, I actually am.
Good. All right, guys. Well, Jason, we've got a lot to talk about in terms of your Castaway experience. What was the highlight for you?
Dolphins.
Yeah, I could see
Swimming
that.
with the dolphins. I know, you know, it was just amazing. I missed them the day before when everyone else swam with them, and I was really gutted about that. But I was woken up, I think, 6 in the morning, and Jason, dolphins are in the bay. That's all it needed.
It was lovely just watching that. I mean, to be there was an incredibly life-affirming moment.
Well, yeah, it was just in a natural environment.
Well, let's have a quick look here at the good times and the bad times. This is your Castaway story.
Hello, Jason. I am blessed to be here. I really, really am. I'm experiencing the stuff that I came here to experience. It's like, I'm learning who I am. We swam with the dolphins. A massive contrast. It's the furthest extreme away to me sitting in a stairwell in a block of flats with a needle in my arm.
Yes! Every time I seem to see Jason, he's making a rollie and sitting, not doing much really.
What's Jason doing?
He hasn't done sod all.
The person that you've decided has contributed least to the experience here so far is Jason. You're going to spend this next week on a small, isolated beach.
This is my time to reflect. So, scared. I'm very isolated, and I really don't know if I'm mentally strong enough to be able to do it.
What am I doing here? This isn't good. Sand! Bloody sand!
Oh, Jay! Well done!
It's great to be back, and if you need any help with anything, just come and ask me.
Jason has reformed, if you like. How long that will last, I don't know.
Jason's not pulling his finger out and doing anything with the sole intention of getting people to vote for him, I'm sure, because he wants to go.
You actually want us to vote you out?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think it is, you know, my time to go. I don't think I can get anything more from the experience.
I love you, all of you. Thank you so much.
I imagine it's quite unusual for you, watching it back like that.
Yeah, it is.
Do you wish you'd stayed longer?
No. No.
Why not?
When the first group arrived, I was part of the first 7.
Yeah.
We
Which is Jonathan, Francie was in
Claire,
Erica was in
Francie,
there,
myself,
Big Al,
Erica, Big Al and Little Al. We didn't get a chance to bond as such before we got to the island. We were sort of thrown out the boat, swam to the shore, and that's when we sort of met each other. So, you know, we sort of like figured we'd ration the food and try and figure things out logically. When the second group arrived, they had time to bond on the boat. They could see each other.
Why did that make it harder for you? What's wrong with
Well,
that?
because they must have thought, I think, that we'd already sort of laid the plans out and they didn't want to conform because they were their own group.
And it created friction. You had these 2 separate camps.
Well,
and that was
yeah, it created friction in the fact that, you know, they didn't want to think logically about the food. They wanted to eat the food and thought that the crew and PDs would help us out if we run out. And it's really not
And the crew
about
didn't
that.
help you out if you
Of
ran
course
out.
not.
No, because
they
that's not what it's about. It's not what the experience is about.
Exactly.
That's not the purpose of it.
Exactly.
You went to... We put you on what we call Banishment Beach, and that's a beach where you're isolated, you're
Can't
on
say
your
that
own.
word anymore.
Huh?
Management.
Why was it so bad?
Because my fear is isolation, being on my own.
Why do you have that fear?
Because that's why I used to use drugs on my own. I used to use on my own. I used to drink on my own. I used to be on my own all the time.
So being on your own on the beach reminded you of those bad times of using drugs?
Yeah, my head started to go to the places I used to use. And, you know, the feelings started to come up and started to leak out that I used to feel when I was using and I was alone.
So it's a dark experience?
I don't want to swear, but yeah. Yeah, extremely.
I think it's worth pointing out that that Kane in particular has gone now. There are certain things perhaps that you may or may not choose to talk about in front of Kane, but I thought we should point out that we've taken Kane off to another room as we have this conversation. Well, I want to got one or two people on Castaway. Jonathan in particular, you seem to get on well with. And I want to show you something. Jonathan voted for you because you asked him to vote for you. And what's quite telling about this clip is that it was Erica's birthday this week and they had a big party for Erica. And amidst all those celebrations, Jonathan left, found a camera and recorded this message for you.
Jay, if you're watching this too, I found myself abandoning all my principles and voting for you because you asked me to. I think you've had probably the biggest experience of anyone here. And you've been mad to leave. I'm sorry, but you got the vote.
What's your reaction to that, Jason?
Oh, bless him.
It's interesting because the reaction to it has been quite negative to Jonathan, I think, from probably most people here in this room. And that's the vibe. I think it's because he's antagonistic, but you see a different side to him. He's quite, in a lot of ways, he's hard to work out. It's unusual seeing him so vulnerable in that clip there, that message he recorded.
He's not hard to work out at all.
Is he not?
No.
Why not? Explain him to me.
He keeps it real. He doesn't dress anything up. Do you know what I mean? He says what he feels. He doesn't skirt around. He doesn't... If people feel a certain way by something he says, that's their problem. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But you'll know where you stand with Jonathan.
Now, it wasn't all hard work for you, Jason, out there in New Zealand. Have a look at this.
We're going to Wanaka to do 2 days of madness and life-threatening extreme pursuits. That was the best thing I've ever done. That was awesome. My arm's like crippled. I'm going to learn how to fly a helicopter.
Yeah! You know what? I'm not going to miss you.
There we are. That's what... Everyone at the end of their Castaway experience will get that little treat, courtesy of our good friends at the New Zealand Tourist Board.
Yeah,
isn't that nice?
Brilliant.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason. Thank you. Now, they've been on the island for a month now and the Castaways continue to bicker, argue and gossip. But joining us now in the studio is the queen of gossip herself, Heat magazine's news editor, Hannah Perry. Hello, Hannah. Good evening. All right. Nice to see you. Please have a seat.
Hello. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
As somebody whose life is really about showbiz, how do you think you would cope yourself on the island?
Dreadfully. Absolutely dreadfully. I just don't know how you do it.
But anyway, good to see you. You've been watching the show, in particular from the last week. Are there things, Hannah, that have really stood out for you?
I think for me it was Erica's birthday and the whole kind of fashion show because it really...
Why was that?
Well, because the whole team kind of came together. They've been bitching about each other and going off and saying nasty things and this kind of, I think, brought everybody together and it was quite nice to see and quite refreshing.
Let's have a look at it.
Ladies, gentlemen and Hassan, welcome to the Castaway 2007 fashion show. We've got Carla from Fame, who decided she wants to be a chocolate orange. Yeah! I wouldn't mind a bit of that. Now we've got funky, frivolous Fanny. Walking to the top, sporting a blue and green Batiste jumpsuit. Then we've got cross-dresser Hassan. Yeah! Beware of his concealed weapon.
Hey. Frivolous Fanny seems like an unfortunate turn of phrase. How did that birthday compare, Hannah, to Elton John's 60th?
It's sort of different, really, wasn't it? There was no piano.
Less nauseating.
Less nauseating, somewhat, yeah. I think In
I'd
a way,
rather have been at that.
It's kind of nicer though, because it meant so much to absolutely everybody, because it brought them all together. Whereas Elton can just meet up with his cronies any old time, can't
he can, yeah, and they are cronies. Who do you like the most? Would you say?
Francie.
Yeah, she's great, isn't she?
She's just so lovely.
Impossible not to like.
She's impossible not to like. She's just like your mum. She's just, with all the bitching that's going on and all the nastiness and all the silliness and all the pettiness, she brings the camp together, and she's just such a nice person, and you've not seen another side to her at all.
No, you haven't.
Here's the guard down.
Here's a clip that you chose from this week that I think really illustrates that point.
I'm probably one of the most emotional people here.
Yes, you are.
I'm probably one of the most...
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable. I'm probably one of the most...
Highly strung.
Highly strung. I'm probably one of the most...
Capable?
Capable, possibly. Enthusiastic, definitely. Overbearing, in some opinion.
I'm very, very happy to talk to you, Cathy, because I care about you.
Thank you, Francie.
No, I really do. I just don't like people being nasty. Be true to yourself, because you're lovely underneath it all.
Thank you.
Lots of love.
Thank you, Francie.
It's interesting how she handles that. She's critical and then she turns it around and she makes it a positive.
Yeah, she shrouds, even that sort of the critical part, she shrouds in nicety and everything. You can just imagine if you give her a big hug, she's just lovely. I just love her.
Now, Cathy, we talked about there, a lot of people in the camp, a lot of the castaways don't appear to like her. What's the issue with Cathy?
I think the problem with Cathy is that she's come in late, and this is a group that's really kind of got on. They've got their group, and she's suddenly come in and they.
But she's a bit highly strung, as Francie said.
She is highly strung. She came in and straight away.
Jason's nodding away.
Yeah.
I was on banishment when she arrived. She came to the beach to see me, and I was quiet. It was nice, and then Cathy comes striding up.
Do you like her,
oh my
Jason?
God.
Jason, do you like Cathy?
I do now.
You do now?
But I hated her when I first saw her because she was too enthusiastic.
Right.
She was driving me mad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think she's driving quite a lot of people mad, and this is a little VT, to use more television terminology, of Cathy's week.
Everyone who I speak to individually seems to be quite positive and acknowledge the fact that, yes, I know that I've been a bit too enthusiastic.
Boom, she wakes up. Cathy, Castaway FM. Oh, there's a cow, I'm coming. Starts jumping all over the place, running, runs down.
I mean, the sun isn't even up and she still managed to stress me out.
I'll tell you, everybody today is so aggressive. Apparently, I ran all the way down to the hill, ran all the way down the hill to the cow and scared the out of it, which is totally not true.
Castaway FM wants to come down.
I'm coming down.
Yeah, come keep me sane, I will not do did it.
No one seems to want to spend much time with her alone.
I think the problem is that when someone new comes into the camp, you want them to inject some enthusiasm. You know, she's on a new high because she's come in late. And instead of doing that, she's kind of putting people's backs up. And I think if she watches his back, she'll wish that she kind of dealt with it in a different way.
She gives the impression she's full of herself a bit, doesn't she?
She does, and whether she really is in real life is something else. But unfortunately, it's putting people's backs up.
Well, let's get her defended now. One person who knows Cathy well is Eugene Sully. You might remember him from Big Brother 6. He sort of went in the latter half of that series. Eugene, good evening.
Hello, Richard.
Hello.
Hello, I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm laughing because I can see your picture and it looks quite amusing.
Yes, it's one of the more gormless pictures of me, but a great picture of Cathy, I thought.
I think it's one of the less gormless pictures of you. Eugene, tell me about Cathy and why you like her.
OK, well, I know Cathy from initially a couple of years ago at a conference I went to up in Newcastle, sitting next to her, and you could tell we're on the same wavelength, talking about science, environment, all that kind of stuff. What I like her, she's very focused, she knows what she wants, she knows how to get it, she's very intelligent, and I think her strength and probably her weakness is that she's very caring and possibly a bit motherly.
So you met her at an event in Newcastle where you talked about the environment and science. Glad I wasn't there. And then you stayed in touch. You exchanged numbers. Sounds fishy to me, Eugene. Did you try anything on?
I didn't try any on her clothes, but you know, perhaps I did stay over the night.
Is that actually true? You stayed the night at hers?
Yes, and I've been up quite a few times because she's had some great parties, and I've come up to see her a few times. Went around the shopping centre and on the theme park there, man.
Right. Apologise to anyone from the Newcastle area for that crass stereotype. But no, Eugene, it's lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Eugene Sully there. We have, now, interestingly, hot off those comments, we have Pamela Ball here, who's Kathy's mum. Pamela, good evening.
Good evening, Richard.
How do you think Kathy's coming? Are you worried about how Kathy's coming
I've
across?
had a dreadful week. I've had a very upsetting week because the Kathy that I know and that other people know and love has just not been on here at all.
So what are we seeing versus what the real Kathy is?
The real Kathy is someone who takes the world and tries to wrap her arms around it.
What do you say when people say she's highly strung, when people say...
She is highly strung.
Well, she seems...
Oh,
this is not my observation, this is what people have said on the show, that she seems full of herself.
She's highly strung because she has had 2 extremely difficult years, and she applied to go on Castaway so that she could just completely get her life and shake it up. She isn't like some of the others who are very self-contained, very self-aware, they're okay, they're fine, they're maybe bored, they want to do something different. It's not like that for her. She's different to all the rest, and because she's different, she is not accepted.
She's doing it for what reason, sorry, Pamela?
She actually needs to put a broom through her life. She needs to find where she is going.
And how do you do that by being on Castaway?
Because you take yourself away from what you're studying, from who your family are, from who your friends are, from who your ex-boyfriends are, and you completely wipe the slate clean, spend time with strangers who don't know you in a place.
It's a challenge, isn't it? It's certainly a challenge.
It's a huge challenge.
Why more specifically has this been such a bad week for you? Why has it upset you so much?
I don't like to see people take a view of my daughter that I know is wrong. And you try it. I don't know if you have children, but you try it. Let anyone in this room try it and have the week that I've had.
I can imagine. I don't have children, but I can imagine why it's upsetting, and it must be frustrating because you can't talk to her.
I don't mind if they criticise her justly. If they say she's loud, I know she's loud. I have lived with her, and before she came out to New Zealand, she spent 2 weeks with me after she'd left Newcastle.
But there's nothing wrong with being loud, particularly.
No, but she is.
What's the unjust criticism, Pamela? What's the thing that's really getting to you?
The unjust criticism that she's up herself, basically. She isn't. She comes across that way because she tries too hard. She might as well not bother trying.
I wouldn't have said she was up herself. She's just very, very...
You wouldn't have said she was up
No.
herself. Well, the rest of everybody seems to think
Not up herself. She didn't have anything to prove. She was just enthusiastic about getting on with stuff.
Yes.
But up herself, no.
OK, well, listen, we'll leave it there. But, Pamela, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being so open with us and for putting up such a great defence of your daughter. Pamela.
Thank you.
Hannah will speak to you later on as well. Thank you for now. One man who it is good to be friends with is US Special Forces survival expert Mykel Hawke.
One of the Hawke Daddy's top tips for survival is maintain your fitness. Reduces stress, increases motivation, performance, metabolism, and fights off sleeping bag syndrome. That means they're fat and happy in their sleeping bag, and then they don't want to get out to make the fire. Then they don't want to get out to eat their food. Then they're not going out of the sleeping bag to use the bathroom. And before you know it, they're just sitting there in their sleeping bag, fat and happy, and slowly deteriorating away. Prisoners of war have often been presented with an opportunity to escape, but weren't able to because they simply weren't fit enough. It's important that the castaways don't do too much in terms of like muscle mass type activities because they're simply not taking in enough protein. But they do want to do a couple of wind sprints a day just to get the heart rate up, and then maybe just a slow little jog for maybe 10 or 15 minutes just to get the whole circulation and the lungs flowing. I were on the island, I'd never, ever be sitting around because there's always something to do. And the more you do, the better you feel and the more you can keep doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, he was not in the studio last week, but I'm pleased to say that he's here. Welcome back, Mykel Hawke. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you, Good to see you, Mike. And I think you've raised an important issue there in your video. There's a lot of laziness on that island.
Good God, yes there is.
How does that laziness manifest itself? What examples of laziness have you seen?
I mean, basically, they're lounging around like a bunch of lazy beach bums, you know? I think they're kind of like in a vacation vacuum, you know, with the lack of structure or any immediate threat. I think they're just kind of like taking it easy, thinking, hey, you know, everything's going to be just fine.
Do you know what I was thinking, watching that video? I was thinking that you would make a great castaway.
Oh, you went there.
Would you like to see that?
Yeah. Oh! Now, listen, well, hold on. Okay, now you're trying to get me out there on the island.
Yes.
Last week, you sliced off my fingers. You know, I think you're trying to get a little closer to Marianne. I got my eye on you.
It's an intimidating eye as well, I have to say. Now, Mike.
Yes.
Ken has also caught your eye this last week.
Yes, he
again.
has.
Why?
Well, I'm just loving the Sergeant Major. I mean, that boy is tracking, 100%.
Yeah. Is he?
Yes,
But he noticed the laziness that we alluded to a moment ago. Here's what he had to say about idle youngsters.
Every morning I wake up and I feel really great, and nothing is wrong, everything is working. Me back, me bowels, me liver, me lungs, me lights. You know, I look at them a bit aghast when well, you get up too early, you know, why are you moving about that time in the morning? Because, you know, they tend to think that 10 o'clock is a good time to get up, and I'm thinking, you're wasting your opportunity. Why aren't you up out there, you know, doing something? And kipping in the afternoon. I'm the one that should be sleeping in the afternoon, not kids at 23 years old.
Well, it's hard to argue with that point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But he's good news, Ken, isn't he?
He's squared away.
He understands what they need out there because he comes, like you, from that military background. He wants order. He wants a hierarchy.
That's right. That's right.
How do you think you get on with the folk out there? Is anyone that...
Oh, man. I think mostly everybody's pretty good to go.
Anyone you wouldn't get on with or you don't like in particular?
Yeah, I just got to call it like it is, man. Me and Mr. John, we'd have to go out and have ourselves some woodline counseling.
Some what?
That's kind of like where I take them out into the woods and I give them a little attitude adjustment.
OK. And does an attitude adjustment simply involve a lecture, a few words?
Yeah, it just requires a few exchanges of some love taps, and then it's all good.
And how many love taps would be needed to get the message across?
Until he's not talking anymore.
Let's have a look at Ali Humbo here, talking about morale in the camp.
Right on.
Tonight really got everyone's spirits high. I've got to say, yesterday I felt just horrendous because it was the first day where I hadn't laughed at all. And this morning I woke up and I thought, it's got to be a new day, it's got to be a new day. I think after tonight, everyone's now going to help each other out and everyone's just going to do as much as they can. So I'm really looking forward to the next 2 months instead of dreading it. And if someone said, do I want to stay longer than 3 months, I'll probably say yes.
It's interesting, isn't it, how morale changes day to day like that, as Ali's explained.
Well, I mean, absolutely. But, I mean, they had a little fashion show, and it's, you think the military, we kind of dress up and do, parades and whatnot because we just like to, dress up and look pretty. But actually, it's just a formal bonding ceremony, and that's what they're doing right there. So it makes perfect sense.
Dressing up in the military is about bonding, is it?
Absolutely, man. Everybody's doing something together. But likewise, you go through those festive times together, they also need to be doing some tasks, some work together, so they share some hardships and that just keep them close, team integrity.
OK, that's interesting. For now, ladies and gentlemen, Mykel Hawke. Now, one morale-boosting friendship that has emerged over the last few weeks is between two unlikely castaways, loud and proud Essex girl Gemma and lovable, posh schoolboy Alistair.
I've been having lots of jokes with young Alistair. He's a funny fucker.
And then you do.
He thinks he's some sort of a pimp. and he thinks that he can rap, and he really can't.
Got my 2 J's, my 3 A's.
And it's really funny because he seems to come to me and Jason and try and rap, and he seems to think that because we're black, we're into rapping. So it's absolutely hilarious.
As far as rapping goes, Gemma has a belief that the reason why I turned to her and Jason is something to do with the colour of their skin. This is not true at all. It's just because I've been speaking to Gemma a lot over the last couple of days, and the fact that that's a conversation that she knows a bit about and that I'd like to think I know a bit about.
Alistair thinks his rapping makes him more street, and he's good fun, so I've been having a crack with him in the last couple of days, and I like winding him up. So watch out for Alistair's rap as time goes on.
Alistair's dad, John, is here, as is his mother, Jill. Good evening. Good evening, Richard. Hello, Jill. Hello, John. What do you make of his newfound friendship with Gemma?
I think it's great for both of them. I think they both stated on their auditions and on their profiles that they wanted to get out and meet people who they wouldn't necessarily encounter.
They strike me as being people of different backgrounds.
Yeah, but the point is, they're finding a common bond because they're talking to each other, they're getting behind the superficial sort of, how do you talk, where do you live, this sort of stuff.
Jill, you must be pleased with the way that Alice is coming across.
Yes, yeah, he's just... I think to begin with, he did this dancing farmer and he really hammed it up so much because that's not actually Alistair. But he thinks that because he comes from public school, as soon as people hear him talk, they make assumptions. And he said that the major thing that he wanted to do on this Castaway, he says, I want to go there because I want to be able to get to know other people for what they are, and hopefully they can get to know me for who I am without background and all the trappings that go with anything else. And I was really proud of him.
He's coming across extremely well, and he seems to have good self-awareness, except when it comes to rapping. And I know the rapping thing is a bit of a joke, but I think he sort of means it.
Oh, he'd love to be a rap star, but
now
he's
that's
crap.
Where,
He knows it.
Does he know he's crap? I think he thinks he's good.
No.
John, do you think he thinks he's good?
He knows he's not Eminem, but, he's going to try and make a go of it, I'm sure, yeah.
I have to say one thing. I mean, because he's had a lot of problems with dyspraxia and dyslexia, he covers up, he bigs himself... You must see this. He's bigging himself up all the time.
He wouldn't really speak because he felt that his views wouldn't be appreciated or heard and people would take the piss out of him. Yeah. But, we had a good old chat out there, man, about rapping, about everything. And he's really coming out of himself, and it's really good to see. He looks really settled and comfortable and relaxed.
Yeah, he does. I think he looks like the most settled of anyone on the show.
He is.
Thank you very much, John and Jill. Good to see you today. Now, to analyse once again the anthropological exploits of the Castaways, please welcome Mary Ann O'Hotter. How's it going? Well, very nice to see you. Welcome again. I like what you've done with your hair today.
Thanks, Richard. Yours isn't bad either.
I had it cut yesterday, actually.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
How much did it cost you?
It's £30, quite a lot, really, for a haircut. For a man's haircut, that's a lot of money. It's a bit of a dead end of a conversation. We're enjoying it.
So, shall we talk about Castaway, maybe?
Yes, I think that would be a nice idea.
OK,
but I want to talk about the rapping. Is there an anthropological view of rapping and what Alistair is doing?
OK, I think rapping... Because they're not his raps, are they? So it's a bit like karaoke, which is clearly one of the purest...
So it's not self-expression?
Purest forms
it's not his
of
own...
self-expression.
Yeah, but...
Karaoke is.
But he's not his own sentiment, it's not his own words. It doesn't tell you anything about him particularly.
I know, I think it does. I think you give him the text, but he brings it to life, and I think he does a grand job. I love Alistair.
You don't think he does a grand job of rapping?
No, but he does a grand job of expressing himself.
Right, now let's talk about Ken for a moment.
Ken and Jonathan and their little leadership struggle really kicked off last week, but it's still ongoing. Ken declared this week that he didn't want to be a leader. Let's watch this. Watch this, Jay.
If you want to be a leader, let's elect a leader. That's all I'm saying. If you don't want to be, I don't want to be a leader, particularly. You know what I mean?
The meeting's open. Alistair.
I think that what we should discuss is how things are running in camp.
Well, obviously... Hang on, the chair recognises Hassan.
The food is definitely running out.
Yes.
Obviously the milking of the cow.
Any food whatsoever that is caught, captured, milked, got out of a sack belongs to all of us.
OK, so all pull together, save what we've got, otherwise you're going to be very, very miserable.
Jason, you wanted to comment, I think. What do you make of Ken?
I was sort of like bunged in as a chair for a meeting after dinner as well once, and you know, it was about the first thing you come out with was there's got to be leaders, ICs, and all this to overlook everything. And being a chair, I said, right, everyone, quick vote. No, everyone put their hand up. I said, right, Ken, no leaders. And he's been doing that since he got there. So
but he's from the military. He wants hierarchy. That's how it works.
But it's really not about that. It's not about looking over people, instructing them to do
what's
things.
In a nutshell, what's your view of Ken generally?
He will crack up if he's got nothing to do. He is always moving. He's chopping up logs we need for fire. For kindling, Ken, you're right. Kindling. You know, he just won't leave it alone.
He's obsessed with it. Do you like him?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a decent person, but he's he's saying he doesn't want to be a leader. I think that's false.
He doesn't want to be a leader. I think that's false.
To be a leader.
Yeah, it's an absolute integral part of his identity. But I think his leadership style is such that he infantilises the other castaways, makes them feel like children, and that disempowers them.
Thank you for the definition of infantilises.
That was for your benefit, Richard.
I enjoyed it.
For me, she's speaking English. She's translating.
I think that Ken could go forwards really strongly if he chooses to be the leader and then assign roles, but he just stops short, which means that nothing very much gets done.
Now, Jonathan caught your eye this week as well.
We shouldn't underestimate John. He's calmed down this week, but I think he's still probably influential in the background. But he has chilled out, and I think the other castaways are really responding to this. There was some teasing going on earlier in the week, so let's have a look at this.
I reckon in this situation, times will get tough and people's...
No, carry on.
And people's sort of true colours will come out and they'll slowly change. And so probably Francie and you?
Yeah!
I quite seriously think you're going to get to a point where you'll realise that all you want is just a bit of loving.
She has to be of childbearing age, ideally under 25.
Just adopt.
Shut up, you can adopt.
She'd get wrist strain from cleaning you so much, mate.
We've been out in the boat together twice. There is life in the old dog yet. Jonathan the love machine.
I quite like that bashful look that you see on him now and again.
Yeah, I suspect the bashful look wasn't so much about him being talked about with regard
Francie.
to Francie.
That's obviously nonsense. They're just mucking
No,
around.
I think the bashful look was about him being teased, because that's a real sign of acceptance. That four of them could sit there and tease Jonathan really shows that he's
that is
being,
interesting, and he has backed off a bit this week, hasn't he?
Yeah, certainly.
And now, the thing that I think stood out for both of us tonight in the BBC One show was that row over eggs.
The big egg debate. Should we have a look at it?
Let's
and
have
then
a
talk
look.
about it?
There's no lunch. There isn't any lunch.
Excuse me, we want lunch or not?
What?
You said we can have exactly what we want. You said you don't believe in rules. We can do what we want.
Shut up,
No.
Claire. Go away.
No. I'm taking 3 eggs and that's it. All of us want an egg.
You've sat in that hut and done bugger all day,
So have
except
you.
sing some songs, and now you expect lunch.
John, you're going mad. You're having a breakdown, mate.
Claire,
Relax.
go away. Back to your hut, lazy girl.
Now, he likes Claire. I imagine it would have been worse if it was somebody else confronting him.
It would have been absolutely awful. And you'll note that Claire said, I'm going to take those eggs, and then did an about-turn and left the hut promptly.
I just like it when people get really angry about really trivial things. I enjoy it.
I don't think it's trivial when you've got no food and you've got 3 people sitting about.
Mike Shake, not trivial, Mike.
Not trivial at all, man. You're talking about chow and people are starving. And the bottom line is, the boy's making up rules as he goes and he's changing them all the time. See what I'm saying? So he's playing a game there, and I don't like it.
No, I
He needs more of that tapping business.
That's right.
Maybe more than 3.
Maybe.
I completely disagree. I don't he does change his tune, but in this, he's absolutely dead on. She shouldn't have taken the eggs, and then she kind of had a bit of a childish tantrum about
It's his manner. It's just the way he comes across.
Well, the other thing is he didn't lay it out as a ground rule up front. He just kind of made that up on the fly. You haven't earned your eggs today, so I'm not allowing it.
He's
like putting himself in a position. When he said they could all eat what the hell they wanted up front. So, no, boy.
Then we must leave it. Then we must leave it and move on.
Okay.
You can speak later, though. For now, Marianne, thank you. Marianne,
Thank you,
Hawke.
Richard.
Now, you've been interacting with the show via our website, and one or two of you have made observations about how some of the castaways look like celebrities and famous people. Let me show you what I mean. Here's Lucinda. A couple of you said that Lucinda looks a bit like Uma Thurman. I stress a bit. It was also said on email that that Wendy, here's Wendy, bears a passing resemblance to Kathy Burke. Yeah, slightly better. It was also said, our final one for now, that Jonathan looks like Compo. Now, this week saw another castaway join the island, a cow. And here are a few facts about Daisy the cow for you. She's an Ayrshire cow and about 8 years old, which apparently is middle-aged for a cow because they live to be about 20. She is a mother of 3, although tragically her offspring have been eaten. She weighs approximately 450 kilograms, which is about 3.5 big owls. She has 4 teats on her udder as well. Daisy can produce 8, this is quite impressive this, 8 litres of milk a day, but she needs to drink 50 litres of water per day to supply it. She will eat hay and vegetables, and her favourite is sweet potato. Fancy tastes for a cow, for a human. And apparently the trick to milking and keeping Daisy still is to feed her as you milk. That's word on the street. Now, here is a little look at Daisy's week.
There's a horse. Can't believe we've got a cow. I know. We're going to have to keep her in the kitchen when it rains.
That's gorgeous.
Incredibly delicious.
That's the nicest thing ever.
She looks at you with a big black eye and superb long eyelashes. Come on. It's wonderfully reassuring to talk to a cow.
Shoot, what? I was in the hut earlier, I was a bit scared because I thought, God, when it comes in and starts biting you and stuff.
Yummy.
We love Daisy. We love Daisy, or at least I do.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer, do.
I'm not really interested in it at all.
Crazy over my love for you.
Except this barbecue potential.
But you'd look sweet upon the grill of a barbecue made for 2.
Presumably Gemma thinks she's drinking horse's milk. Easy mistake to make. Now it's time to bring on one man who's been avidly watching the dairy antics of the Castaways. It's comedian Rob Heaney. Rob, hello, good evening. Welcome to the show. Have you ever spent any time with a cow?
No.
No.
I've been chased.
Have you?
Yeah,
When were you chased by a cow?
I was in the Cubs many years ago. We took a shortcut across a field and a cow charged us.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. No damage done, didn't catch up with you?
Well, we ran over, we jumped over the fence, and then we got back and just lied and said it was a bull.
Right, to make it a more macho story. Well done. Yes. So you've been watching Castaway. Who stood out for you? What has stood out for you? What's been of interest?
Well, this week it was Kathy when she did her little skinny dip. Well, I know she had clothes on, but it was a skinny dip.
Right, let's have a look at it.
Good for her. I thought, it's totally see-through now. She's brave. She's brave.
A little too brave.
That's your favourite bit?
It's just
That's your favourite bit from the whole week?
Well, there's 2 things. 1, a microbiologist doesn't realise white cotton will become see-through in water. And 2, it's just Big Al's reaction.
Yeah.
He's sitting there with his leg up, leaning over. He may as well have gone, hey, ladies.
Who's your favourite character, Rob?
Joe Chicken, definitely, without a doubt.
Hey, the audience responding. He's a lovely chap, isn't he? Why do you think he's so likeable?
I think it's a combination of 2 things. 1, if I was on the island, I think he's the person I'd get on with the best. He seems to have a good sense of humour. He's having intelligent conversations. He's a good listener. Well, he can understand Erica without the subtitles.
Here's a demonstration of that humour.
I hadn't seen your face around town a while. I was so greeted you with a knowing smile. And when I saw that girl upon your arm, I knew she won your heart with a feet so drum. I said, soul boy, let's hit the town. I said, hey boy, what's with the prayer? But in return, all you could say was, hi George, meet my fiancé. Get back, hands up, go for it.
There you go, point demonstrated.
That's quality.
What I get a sense of from the audience here and people interacting with the show is that he is attractive to women. Women respond very well to him. Perhaps not in a conventional sense, more perhaps to do with his personality.
OK, is that not conventional?
I think women like blokes normally for their looks.
Okay.
It's not to say...
He's a good-looking
He's
guy.
quite, yeah,
he's quite fit.
He's seemingly got more handsome as the show has gone on. Quite fit.
I'm just appreciating him on behalf of all the other women in the audience too.
All right. Not on behalf of yourself.
Clearly not.
Excluding yourself from that,
Absolutely.
are you? There was one thing he did this week that arguably makes him less attractive to women. Would you like to talk us through this? We'll play it in. What's he doing here, Rob?
He's basically cleaning his plate after... I think he's had an invisible meal. Obviously, being a vegan, he doesn't have much choice in what to eat. So he's just eating enamel. There we've seen him rapping, now he's scratching like a DJ.
Yeah.
That's not getting enough off, though. And I need the spoon. But watch this. Have you ever done this in your life? I'll go this way with the spoon now. Not getting enough with the front of the spoon. The rear of the spoon is what I need.
It really is an odd sight. I mean, they give the benefit of the doubt. I guess it's just an indication of how little they've got going on there. They're making rations, not much
from
food.
day one.
Huh?
From day one.
He's cleaned his plate like that?
Everyone's plate.
And
the floor.
You have not seen him clean someone else's plate, Jason?
Everyone's plate. Every single meal time.
Why didn't you say something to him?
Sorry?
Didn't you want to say something to him?
Well, we just went, and we said, what are you doing? And he just... That's what he does.
Well, we have Joe's mum and dad and sister here tonight. It's Tim, Min and Naomi. Tim, good evening. Hello, Min.
Hello.
And hello, Naomi. And, Min, have you it sounds like that there's a pattern of behaviour emerging here. Is that how he cleans plates at home?
He's a finger-licking chicken.
Actually, I should have introduced you. It would have been better to introduce you by saying, "Here's the chickens."
Yes, here we are.
Are you pleased with Joe so far?
Absolutely delighted.
Yeah.
Yeah, with every single bit of it. Yes, and him.
Tim, he's very laid back, isn't he?
He's cool. Yeah, he's good. He's enjoying himself and he's keeping out of all the bitching that's going on.
Yeah.
He's a good listener, he's a good talker, and he's enjoying himself.
Naomi?
Brilliant. Yeah.
All good, huh?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Have you ever seen him... I mean, Suze, have you ever seen him finish a plate off like that with the spoon and the finger business?
I think it's, waste not, want not.
And that's a good philosophy.
Yeah.
That's the right way to go about things, Min. Have you taught him that?
Yeah, definitely. And he also uses his imagination. So if there isn't food there, then he'll imagine that there's some food there.
I don't think technically that's very nutritious.
It can be, actually. Neurologically, it works. If you do imagine things, then you can have a meal and digest it. It does work.
Is this true?
It is true.
Yeah.
Visually, exactly as Naomi
Mike,
says.
any truck with this theory?
Man, I'm going to have to throw out the bullshit flag.
It's bullshit, Tim.
No, it isn't. He wasn't allowed to leave the table until he cleaned his plate and all our plates. Since he's gone on to Castaway, I've had to buy a dishwasher.
Thank you to all of you, Tim, Min and Naomi.
Thank you.
Now, each week via... I like the bullshit flag thing. And each week via our website, you at home can have a direct effect on the Castaways, either by helping or hindering them. There's also a chance to win a holiday. Play Castaway Remote Control to win the experience of a lifetime. A 10-day trip for two to an exotic mystery location. To win, you need to figure out where that holiday destination is. Each week, we'll give you a new clue that will lead you closer to it. All you've got to do is spot the symbol hidden on the website and in the BBC One programme on Sunday. Last week, the symbol was this, a thing. I've no idea what it's meant to be. And the dilemma was whether to give the Castaways an ironing board or a surfboard. As ever, you were too kind. You gave them a surfboard. Here's what happened. We saw as well in the BBC One programme how much fun they had with that. This week you can vote to give the Castaways champagne or vinegar. The choice is yours, but I know how kind you are. I don't know why we bother with this charade. I know what you're going to give them. But please go to bbc.co.uk/Castaway. Thank you to all of my guests, Hannah Perry, Rob Heaney, Marianne O'Halter, Mykel Hawke, and all of the Castaways, friends and family. And not forgetting, of course, Jason. All right, that's it from us. We're back next Sunday. Have a tremendous week. Bye-bye.